Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Welcome to all the guests. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name, Tzaddik?
Mordechai Pollack.
Mordechai Pollack. Shalom. From?
West Hempstead.
West Hempstead. Who else do we have here? Any other guests? We want to thank Moshe Einhorn for the spread, the Rosh Chodesh spread. The other day he came over to me, he said, we have to expand the Beis Medrash. There's too many people. I want to take on the project. I want to go with it. I said, no, I appreciate it, but I'm not so interested right now. The dust, no, you guys want to do it, great, but we could build in another place, then we'll move in. I just had enough of construction in my lifetime. Maybe one day. But he's the type of guy. He takes things and he goes with it. He bought breakfast the other day. There are people that are doers and givers. Yishkoach Moshe Einhorn, thank you. I didn't know. Nobody told me. I said, I walked in here, I decided it's you. Because that's the type of guy you are. Who are your neighbors? Let's hear. Who else? Who? Very nice. Yishkoach, thank you. Thank you. Whatever your names are. Nothing Katz. Oh, he's Shomei Halperin. Who else? Name?
I'm pointing at people. Nothing to do with it.
Moshel, that's right, Moshel. It's Moshel, the guy that comes early. Coffee in the morning. I'm just terrible. Wow. B'zyonis. Okay. Rabbi Sai, I want to share with you, this morning there was a siren. And in middle of davening, right here in the Beis Medrash, let me show you what it looks like. It's not pasha. In the middle of Beis Medrash, we don't have a mamad, so the oilam had to go into the building next door, into the stairwell. But let me just show you what it looks like real quickly.
Here we go, guys. Slowly, don't rush. Orderly, slowly, please.
What's that noise? You hear the sirens? It is. Right. You know how we have a saying? Besser sein a posheta Talmid Chacham v'ga'oine she'amaretz. So as I was walking here, I coined another phrase. Besser starben a mensch v'leben v'a behema. It's better to die like a mensch. That's what's going on here. They mentioned they're walking out slowly, but at least you're a mensch when you died. V'a Chaya, a person that jumps on top of a guy that knocks people to get onto a bus. That's a behema. A behema. But look, I'm very. It took over a minute. It takes less than a minute for the missiles to come in from Yemen and hit. But look, it took over a minute and a half. But they walked out slowly.
Only have one door.
I know.
Another door.
We have to
Put in another door. That's your project.
Okay. This is what it looks like when the oilam is in the mamad, in the stairwell. Givaldik. B'choy rebelli, I heard a beautiful word from Ram Vosner on the parsha. It says, "Vayi Yosef yidei et Said, v'Yakov ish tam Yosef v'Yohalam." Yosef knew Said, he knew how to hunt, and Yaakov sat and learned. The question is, why doesn't it say Yaakov knew Torah? Yosef knew how to hunt, and Yaakov knows Torah. So Rav Vosner says, beautiful, that if somebody says, I do carpentry, that's not enough. You have to know carpentry. You have to know how to hunt. When it comes to Torah, you don't have to know how to learn. You don't have to know learning. You have to learn. You have to sit in the Beis Medrash and learn. You have to come every day and do the daf. That's all you need to do. What? That's what he's going to say? Your Talmud since 8-minute daf, brachas, full since Erev and daf lamid. Are you checking out Rebbe in Torah V'das? Can't wait for the Shabbaton. Listen to this, Rabbi. This is a line. Can't wait for the Shabbaton. My best Shabbos in my life so far. I'm still using the energy from last year. I think for me also probably my best Shabbos as well. I don't say it in front of my wife, but it probably is. Shever brachas, this, that. Rabbi said Tzvi Spero on the left made a shidduch, a big part of MDY for many years. Peres Chaim Levin is on the right. So I mentioned the thing with Kasriel. Kasriel Menachem. So there's a guy, Kasriel Kanturovich. I said over his story that he made his first scene with us, but I haven't seen. He lives in Eretz Yisrael. I don't know where he is exactly. Kasriel Kanturovich lives in Tel Zion. This is Shlomo ben Zaken saying this. Amazing story. I wasn't able to come to the Masechtas Chagiga as I did the Siyum with Nachum Eilberg, Olav Shalom, in his home in Nov Zion. Nachum was the one who inadvertently recruited me to the Daf. As the story goes, we were in the middle of Corona, and Nachum invited me to Siyum on Masechtas Shabbos. Listen to this. Noam, you're going to like this. Which he watched on my iMac via Zoom. I was so amazed that people from all over the world, if I remember correctly, from around 500 locations. Remember, we had 500 locations in Masechtas Shabbos on Zoom. We were here. We had 500 locations. It was crazy. And we said, we're never going to be able to outdo this. And he was very inspired by seeing so many people from so many different places. And we had like different shuls and different... This really inspired me 12 days later, and I joined the Daf, and within a week I caught up to everyone in Masechtas Erev. And fast forward, my dear friend Nachi got very sick, and I joined him at home for Nov Zion for the Siyum Masechtas Chagiga. Kasriel somehow connected with me as Lincoln Chavi Yaakov, and we were on the same MDY WhatsApp group. I recall, called me for Siyum Chagiga and asked me if he was going to the Siyum. The night of the Siyum, Kasriel calls me and asked me if he could drop by to give me something for the Siyum. I said, sure, why not? He brought me a gift. That's one of my prized possessions, an egg that we gave out at the Siyum, an egg with the words Hadron Allah Mesechtes Beitza. The egg's still intact, sitting in my break front. See photos attached. I forgot to put the photo. I'll try to give it to whoever's editing. Probably Ariel today. Yeah, because Yosef did last night. My dear friend Nachum passed away shortly after the Siyum, but I hope to continue on from where he left off with the Dav until the completion of Hashem. Avat Yisrael Shlomo ben Zaken Kochav Yaakov. The koilol of the day sponsored Lili Nishmat Aryeh ben Avram David. For the safe and speedy return of all the hostages, Parnassa B'revach Yosef. Parnassa the last day, Rabbi say last day. Kidnovations LLC, say it nice and slow, B'kavana. In honor of my uncle Elchanan Pressman and Fishel. Zechus for Akiva Simcha Ben Fayga, shidduch for Rivka Yehudit Chaya. And I thank you to Rebbitzen Stefansky for selflessly giving up her husband for the klal. Zechus for you filled with Mazel, Bracha, hatzlacha, Parnassa B'revach and Refuah. Amen. Parnassa Yosef ben Chaya Sara for Parnassa B'revach. Parnassa Tzvi Spero, Refuah Shleimah, Itamar ben Chaya Blima, and Parnassa Refuah Tanefesh and good for Breina Bina bad Miriam Bela or Bracha bad Breina Bina Netanel Kalev ben or Bracha. Parnassa Shavua Refuah Shleimah for Yosef Chaim Shmuel ben Alta Nechama from his grateful family. Refuah Shleimah. Parnassa Yoim Shlomo Gramet, the yahrzeit of our brother-in-law Naftali Rhodes. Naftali Matisyo ben David Yosef, his neshama should have an aliyah. Parnassa Chodesh for the art, for zechus, for rebelling the whole MDY staff to continue to make Torah so enjoyable for so many. Question: don't cheat. Try to think of the answer right away. And if you were here last night, don't answer. Does a bchar inherit his double portion if he is no longer alive? Do his yarshim get a double portion? We learned it in the Masechta about 25, 30 times. Everybody's looking at me. I'll give you a hint. Slavchad.
Yes.
Oh, yes. The answer is yes. B'nai Slavchad. Okay. That's one. So I'm not the only one that forgot it. Okay, great. What else did I want to ask you? Don't remember. Okay, we'll go weiter. We are holding 4 lines from the bottom of Amud Beis. The way the sugya works is, we're going to say 2 lines that make no sense, and the Gemara finishes off those 2 lines. V'zui shekasha b'dinim ma'od. This is a very, very, very difficult line to understand. And in fact, the line that we throw out in the beginning makes no sense at all, and the Gemara tosses it out immediately. Then the Gemara goes in to figure out what is so difficult. We come up with different theories that maybe the Gemara meant this, but that's not so hard to understand. It's easy to understand, so it must be something more difficult to understand. We finally come back to the original shot that we wanted to say. But doing so, we're going to go through some interesting sugyas. Shalchum itam. He sent Ben Shalava benichsei aviv b'chayi aviv v'meis. So again, I'm saying right out, this doesn't make any sense. A son borrowed from the belongings of his father when his father was alive, and then the father died, so he inherits it. The father. Which one? Okay. Yishmak. We start off with a gadita. And so let's finish the sugya. It says in the Mishnah that there's no machlokes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel in a case where the house falls on a person and his mother. Everybody admits that there's a yachloiku, you divide equally. On that, Rebbe Akiva says, no, I don't admit. I say it goes to whoever is a muhzak. And Ben Azai says, Rebbe, I understand. There's machlokes throughout Shas. Finally, we get to a point where Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai admit to each other. They could come to something, they agree to something, and you're going to create another machlokes here. Omer Reb Simlai, Ada Omer Ben Azai. From here you see Talmud Chaved Rebbe Akiva Hava. We know that Ben Azai was a Talmud. That we know. But from here, son-in-law. From here we see that Ben Azai actually grew to be a friend of Rebbe Akiva. Why? They call him Arlei Shabasa. He said, you came, instead of saying, the Rebbe came. Mamish like the story. That's where you have to put in the story. The Rebbe is a tippish. You have to say the word Rebbe. Yeah, like that story. So, the Rishbam says the word Rabbeinu. Should have said Rabbeinu. So you see that he was a Talmud, but he's a Talmud Chava. Says the Gemara, Shalchum itam. Ben Shalava benichsei aviv b'chai aviv v'meis. Who died? It says by you the son?
Yeah, it says that.
I don't think so.
It says
Benoi.
Aviv b'chai aviv v'meis. It's the Ben, and afterwards the father. And no, that's what it says. That's how he explains it.
Okay, fine. The father v'meis, the father, but okay. Benoi moitzi miyad l'kuchos.
The grandson.
Okay. The grandson takes out from the buyers, but we're not even talking about a buyer. We're talking about a loan. What is going on here? V'zihu shekasha b'dinei mamanis. V'zui. So we have to remember these words. V'zuhi shekasha b'dinei mamanis. This is a very difficult concept when it comes to the rules and the halachas of mammon. So the Gemara says, first of all, lava my mapik. If you borrowed, you're a son, you borrowed, what are you taking out? You already took the money out. So what else are you taking? You have to give back maybe. Why are we discussing the purchaser? There's no purchase here. There's a loan. So, attempt number one is, Ella, Itmar hachi, Itmar daf, kufnun tezam dal. Ben shemachar, okay. So, it's not a loan. Let's change it a little bit. Ben shemachar benichsei aviv b'chaye aviv v'meis. So here's a chart. There's a father, there's a son, and a grandson. Check it out. The guy in the middle takes a look at his father, and he says, listen, I'm about to inherit this guy. He's 119 and a half years old. Max, he can live another half a year. Let me do some business. So he goes and he takes his father's property, which he's entitled to maybe in a half a year, and he sells it. He grabs it away from his father, hatzlacha, and he sells it. The only thing is that, human beings, nobody thinks they're going to die. The other guy's going to die. Dying happens in other families, not in his. Happens to be that he died. Okay? He was in a car accident, then he died first. Now what? So it says, Benoi, Yaakov's son, Reuven, the grandson, okay, so now these words are making sense. It wasn't a loan, it was a sale. And Reuven, take a look. After Yitzchak dies, Reuven goes ahead and grabs the property. This is very difficult to understand. Why? The guy Yaakov sold to should say, Avuch mizabin vat mapik. I don't understand. Your father sold us something, and you're going to go undo what your father did. Well, my kushya, why is that so hard to understand? Oh, so they're saying, you're right, Yitzchak, the grandfather, died. But Yaakov, your father, sold it to us. So whether he had the right to sell it to us or not, maybe at the time that he sold it, he didn't have the right, but now he does have the right. And before it comes to you, Reuven, it must go from Yitzchak to Yaakov to Reuven. How does Reuven inherit a land? How does he inherit from his grandfather? It goes through his father Yaakov. Oh, it goes through his father Yaakov, so stop. Yaakov sold it to the Lekech, so give it to the Lekech. Why are you taking it from the Lekech? So Reuven says, no, you don't understand how it works. And this is actually what we're dealing with now today. How does it work, Rabbi say? You ever thought about it? When a grandson inherits his grandfather, does he go directly to the grandfather and get the inheritance? Does he circumvent his father? Or no, perhaps this piece of property actually went in the caver for a minute. It went to the father who's dead, and then continued on to the son. If that's the case, we can hear why the purchaser has a good claim over it. He says, oh, once it stopped, it made a stop in Har Menuchas. Yeah, the guy gave $10 million from grandfather to grandson. $10 million went to Har Menuchas, theoretically, halachically, stops by the caver for a moment, and continues on to the son. Oh, once it stops at the caver, now take care of business. You owe it to somebody else. So it diverts from, instead of going to Reuven, it'll go to Yaakov. So Gemara says, no. What? To the buyer, to whoever it is. But so says the Gemara, maybe it never goes through Yaakov. It doesn't stop at a basic forest. The grandson is close enough to his grandfather that it could go directly from grandfather to grandson. And then Mela, he goes to the Lekech and says, give me my property that my father had no right to sell you. He sold it while it was still my grandfather's, and he died before my grandfather. And now that my grandfather died with property, he goes to me and never even looked at my father for a second.
What's the Lekech side at all?
Huh?
Lekech didn't know.
Okay. Yeah. So he'll give back the money. 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 But I want the property. I want this piece of real estate.
Who does? The
Grandson.
I know, I'm saying Lekech, I'm saying Lekech. What's the Lekech? He doesn't know, he didn't know.
No, the Lekech side is...
The Mechira is not Lekech.
I know, we struggled with it a little bit. Because at the end of the day, there was a Mechira here, and it stopped...
There wasn't Mechira.
He didn't have ability to sell.
At the time of the Mechira. Right? I hear. It's a good kasha.
Lekech didn't know, right? That's what it is. He didn't know.
Of course he didn't know. Yeah, but he bought something...
That's where he's coming. I didn't know.
But... I don't know. Stop. This is probably not going to work. But Lemaisa, the father has a pile of money that the Lekech gave, and he owned it for a millisecond. The father, and at that millisecond, he should give it over to him. It should be chal then when he gets it. So says the Gemara. Let's go. Oh, Teida. So we're going to struggle. We're going to talk about this pasuk, Rabbi Yisai. At the end of the day, we're going to say maybe it doesn't work. Maybe it doesn't circumvent. Maybe it does. Teida, d'chsiv, tachas avisecha yuvanecha. This pasuk is talking about a grandfather, a son, and a grandchild. And it says, instead of your father, you'll have your son. In other words, we're circumventing the middleman, Yaakov in this case. We're going from Yitzchak to Reuven. That's what the pasuk says. Tachas avisecha yuvanecha. Your sons should you should put them as rulers in the land. So you see that there's such a concept that you could circumvent the middleman, Yaakov, the father. At the end of the day, so then what's the problem? Why are you saying V'zuyi shekasha b'dinam amanis? The fact that the grandchild gets the land now is not such a hard thing to understand. It never landed by Yaakov. It went. Maybe you look around. Does it say anything in your? Yeah, because we were struggling last night also.
About the money.
No, I said it's the money. Yeah, Taisa says by Rebbeinu Tam. Here, the first. Upirish Arer Yitzchak by Yaakov Meir the Valley Mecher in Mecher Elli Chazors Moi Siri. Okay, fine. Oh yeah, that's mamish. It's typical. I learned this Taisus, and I know the kasha. He talks about other makin davar shalei b'loy. But when you asked it in different words, it's like it didn't. It's the learning part and the practical part didn't. Okay, Eli Gashi Gashi. Ben Bechor Shemocher Cheli Bechor B'Chaya Aviv Umeis B'Chaya Aviv. We have another case. This is mamish like a kiss from Hashem. We're talking about selling the Bechira. Here it is, selling the Bechira. Yosef selling the Bechira. Can a son sell his bonus part of Bechira before he actually gets it? Ben Bechor Shemocher Cheli Bechor B'Chaya Aviv Umeis B'Chaya Aviv. B'noi Moitzi Miyad L'Kuchos. So, a couple things I got to tell you real quickly. So, yesterday, a few Ashgacha Pratis. Mendy was telling us three, we're standing, not you, Noam and Avi. He says, I married the Gevart, tell you over the Vart. Said, what's pshat that Yitzchak loved Esav, Kitzayid Befiv? Just because a kid knows how to hunt, so that's why you love him? That's a reason to. If he knew Shas, he knows Marish. Look, this kid Marish knows Kol Kula. He's a tremendous Balmidas. I love this kid. He's a great hunter. That Yitzchak Avinu, one of the Avos. He loves somebody because of their tzad. So he said the pshat is, who says it? They say. It says in the Svar Magdoshim. It says in the Svar Magdoshim that it said the famous Gemara that Hakadosh Baruch Hu went to Avram Avinu. He said, "Bonecha chatu, your son sinned." So Avram Avinu said, "Kalim, get rid of them." And he went to Yaakov, same thing. He went to Yitzchak. Yitzchak told the Refuah Shleimah, "Bonahem, it's my sons, your sons," and they made a whole deal. He said, "They sleep a lot, they eat a lot. Most of the day is doing other things in the Parnassa. What do you want from them?" So he says, "What's pshat that only Yitzchak had such a time and not Avram and Yaakov?" Pshat is because Yitzchak is telling the Refuah Shleimah, "You gave me an Esav. I have an Esav. I had to deal with something like this. I had to deal with Esav. And he had kitzai befiv. He had the ability to talk to the Rebbeinu Shleimah. He had something to say to the Rebbeinu. He had a taina to the Rebbeinu Shleimah back. I dealt with this, so you deal with this as well, right? Something like that. That was the vart. So I started saying, and Avi also. We're both mechaven. We said, no, I think you missed a little bit of the punchline. Maybe you could have said it different. That Yitzchak was saying every time when you have a kid that's off the derech, whatever you want to call it today, off the derech. So it's very difficult to find something positive about the kid. I'm talking to myself because it's difficult. What are you going to say? He's great at he's at doing drugs. What are you going to say? It's like, oh, he's a great. How you introduce your son? So what you're supposed to do is you introduce him and you say, look at this guy. He has a great shot. When we go to the thing, he's a great shooter. He's a great hunter. This is my son. Unbelievable. I have such a love from him. So I said this over last night. So Allah Zakabach says it's Mefurish Ramban, Mamish on that pasuk, and he sent it to me. The Ramban says this thing that you're supposed to say Mamish like that. He says you're supposed to you find, and with that you connect to your son. And then he sent me a Rebur Yizar, it's Givaldik. He tells this woman, he says, "What does your son like?" He says he likes soccer. So go to a soccer game with him. She said, "I hate soccer." He says, "I know you hate soccer, but you love your son." So sit there and say, what? There's 100 million people that watch this game. Unbelievable. And he starts going in. There's the World Cup. Wow, really? There's that guy. Get into it. Kitzayid Befiv.
How come Abavinu couldn't do that?
Okay. This doesn't answer all the questions. Anyway. So I just want to tell you, once we're talking about that, so I try to pull off, I told Avi and Noam also the same thing. I try to pull off a shtick with my brother-in-law. He's in my house. So at the Suda, I said, you want to hear this? Moridik Maharal. Now, anybody that's from the Shir knows, when I start saying Moridik Maharal, it's not Mamish. It depends how. So I said, why? What's the pshat that the twins, that the Yaakov and Esav were twins? What's the pshat? The pshat is that Esav can't come and say, look, if I grew up in another family, I would have came out different. No, you had the same Yitzchak and Rivka as Yaakov. Oh, but if my older brother is different. He had the brains. He's more mutzlach. He's this, that. So that's why. No. You're a twin. You're mamish the same. Same parents. Same everything. And Mamela, it's all about bechira. It's what you choose to do in life. He chose to go this way. You're going to say. So he says, you say it can't be tzvi morale. Impossible. It's against everything we learned. Esav wanted to come out. By the Avodah Zara, Yaakov didn't. He wanted to jump out. So what you're saying is not true. Show me that says the morale. I said, you got me. I just made it up. So then I told him this thing, what happened that he got me. I was just saying, oh, my brother-in-law is smart, he got me. He says, no. Rabbi Pessin just said at the Kiddush, in the name of the Ritva. There was the Netziv, because I went to him afterwards and he told me it's the Ritva. You said it's the Netziv. And then, listen to this. So I went back to my brother-in-law, I said, because you said it's the Netziv. I said, no, it's not the Maral, it's the Netziv. He says, it's not the Netziv. So then I go to Rabbi Pessin and he goes, it's not the Netziv. And he goes, yes, but it's the Ritva. Oh. Anyway, weiter.
The oil from Flatbush is on.
The oil from Flatbush, from Manistrovich. Let's see. Put them on. Yesterday we had a nice oil from, wow, very nice. Shalom Aleichem Flatbush. Gewaldig. Are you all doing the shir there, or you just came for other things? And it happens to be 12:30. What time is it at night? Is it 12:30 in the morning? Wow, kol kavod, kol kavod. I see Refuah Shleimah, and I even showed a picture of Refuah Shleimah without. See? Refuah Shleimah, you did a good job over there. Whoever did it with you, kol kavod, Yishar Chaya. Let's go weiter. So let's just show. I just want to show this real quickly. Bechar. See, I have a Bechar. The middle guy, Yaakov, is a Bechar. And he decides to sell his extra portion to Olekeach. And then what happens is he goes bye-bye. So, Ben Bechar, Shemochar, Ben Bechar, he's a Bechar. Shemochar Cheli Bechar. B'chayav, in the lifetime of his father. Rumeis, B'chayav, but he died when his father was still alive. Benoi, Moitzi Miyala Kuchas. Ruvain, after the words his grandfather dies, Reuven goes and grabs it away from the purchaser. V'zui shekasha b'dinei mamanois. Why? Avua mezabim iu mapik. His father sells it, and you take it out. What's the difference? So the Gemara explains the difference between the two cases. Why now we can't say what we said before? Maybe Reuven will say, listen, I'm just circumventing Yaakov at all. I'm just going directly to the source, and I'm taking the double portion from the source from Yitzchak. That can't be. Why? Because double portion only comes because of Yaakov. So it must go through Yaakov to Reuven. He can't go directly to Yitzchak. If he goes directly to Yitzchak, there is no Bechayr, there's no portion of Bechayr. It's only there because it's a Bechayr named Yaakov. What is he doing there with the Bechayr? Says Gemara, my Kushya. No. The way it works is I go directly to the source to Yitzchak. But I am a b'makayim. I'm not coming because of him. I fit his shoes, but I'm going directly to the source to grab it. Eli kasha. So we have to go to another case. By the way, we're going to go to the case before that, the original case. That's where we're going to end up. But right now we're trying other things. Actually, Nasagazlan, great case. We have a simple chart here. A guy knows of some sort of testimony. Here, step 1. And then he decided to become a ganav. Try a new career, become a ganav. Somebody who steals, or boys say, somebody who steals a little bit, if he doesn't do tshuva, the pasuk says on him, Al toshes yotcha in Russia. You're a Russia. A Russia who steals is pasaledus. Unbelievable. He became a gazlan. So now he cannot testify anymore. You can't bring this Mr. Ganav with the Shmoyne Begadim from jail that he should testify in his own signature. He's a Ganav, we don't trust him. But other people could say, yeah, that was his signature, and he testified, yes, a month before he became a Ganav, he signed a document. You know what the problem with that is? How do you know when the document was signed? It says in the document it was signed at a certain time, but he's a Ganav. So maybe he signed it today in the morning after he was a Ganav. He could do all sorts of things. You're concerned that he's going to lie. So he lied. So he wrote a new document saying that plenty owes somebody money. And you're going to testify. Let's see inside. This is a famous story. A woman comes home after Yom Kippur. She sees a piece of chicken is missing from the pot, from the tray. She looks at her husband. She says, Yankel, you ate on Yom Kippur a piece of meat? He says, you think I ate a piece of meat on Yom Kippur? Are you crazy? Here, give me a coffee with milk and I'll drink it right now. If I'm fleishik, how am I going to drink coffee with milk? Shkoyach. I'm saying you ate on Yom Kippur. You ate on Yom Kippur, I'm telling you. So you're going to prove that what? You didn't eat on Yom Kippur. How? Varaya, because I'm drinking now coffee with milk. Shkoyach. So, this guy, he wasn't a Ganav yesterday, he's a Ganav today. We can't even trust him on his own signature. But maybe he made a whole new document with his signature and then he tells somebody else, hey, isn't this my signature? Yeah. Shkoyach. Doesn't work. My kushio. Oh, let me just see what happened. So he's not allowed to be made on his signature. Other people could testify on a signature. Oh, so it goes like this. Sorry, let me jump here. There's something called a hempik here. Let's even see. Huh? Hempik. You guys remember what a hempik is? Hempik is a document that says we testify that this original document, this what?
You for sure have one at home.
Harav Agoyin, Harav Eli Stefansky Shlita, Rav Magichir, L'chol Kiles Daf Yomi, Poya Kodesh Bet Shemesh. I don't. They're already making fun. I don't have one, and don't get me as a gift, please. You know what? That can be. You want to get me a stamp for this? That'll be great. I'll take a $10 stamp, and we'll be outside. I don't want any gifts. Yishkoyach. You want to work like that every daf and going 6 months worth of work? We'll talk. Little stamp. Harav Agoyin. Nachum, let's say it was a. There's actually somebody bought a stamp. I'll prove to you that you're wrong. Here, somebody bought a stamp for this. It says MDY Berashot Eli Stefansky. Because none of ours are stamped. So he bought it. I said, no, we're not using it. He says, well, what's the big deal? It says, I wanted people to know. Later on, somebody's going to come in here and say it's not his. I want to say it's yours. Because it says it in the Sefer is mine. Okay, fine. No, we're not using it. I don't like that stamp. Where's that stamp? Anyway, so Zok the Gemara. What's going on here? They're not testifying on the shtar that it's the Ganav's signature. They're testifying on another document that says that the original document that the Ganav signed on was a good document back in the day. It's called the Hempik. It's a special document that comes out of Bezdin that says that the original is good. Okay. So Eli Kashio. So then what is the problem that we said is a big problem here? A person knew about a certain testimony, and it happens to be that later on it fell to his possession. How did it work? Here we go. Yeah, same thing. Let's say there was a distant relative. He's going to testify about a distant relative, his grandfather's brother. I don't know what. He had no hava amina that he's one day going to inherit from this guy. Why would he think that? It's too far away. And then all of a sudden he gets notified that guy doesn't have a kid. You're the next in line. So he's not allowed to testify about his own signature. Now he's biased. So other people come ahead and they testify. So what's the problem? What's the big deal? Maybe they're not even testifying about his signature. They're testifying about a hempik. Eli Kashio, let's try it again. We had this case also. A few things in this Gemara are very familiar. We learned a full sugi. We'll see on Amud Beis. A person witnessed something. He writes down that he witnessed it. Whatever, talks about it. The guy that it happened to, the story that it happened to, likes this individual. He says, "Wow, this is great for my daughter." They make a shidduch, and he marries his daughter. Now he became his relative. Now that he's his relative, he cannot testify about what he saw. Other people could testify on his signature. Oh, so this is very different. If you think about it, logically speaking, the son-in-law cannot testify for the father-in-law. But could somebody testify that the son-in-law actually signed this before he became a son-in-law? It's different than a ganav. A guy that became a ganav, you cannot testify that was his signature because perhaps today he made a signature. A son-in-law is not going to go and make a false document for his father-in-law. He's biased. He's not. That's what the Gemara is going to say. It's a little different. It's a question. So let's see. Ask Gemara, how is somebody else going to be believed if he's not believed? Maybe he's going to redo the document in favor of his father-in-law. If you're going to say that we're talking about a case of a hempik, no, this is even in a case where there's no hempik. So the Gemara says, you hear this? The Rebbitzen Shalom said, you're not allowed to testify for your father-in-law. Whether you're the nicest guy in the world, the most believable guy in the world, you're not allowed to testify for your father-in-law. So we're not concerned that you're going to go ahead and make a new document. You're just not allowed to testify. But if somebody else testifies that that's your signature on a document that you signed for your father-in-law before he became your father-in-law, there's nothing to be worried about. What are you worried about? That you're going to now redo, be a ganav, and nobody's signed. A normal person is not going to make a false document for his father-in-law. So why can't you testify for your father-in-law? Because it's Xeris HaKasav. The king told us you can't do it. That's it. Because Baruch said you can't do it. And I'll prove it to you. Xeris HaMelchi. Everybody else has believed. Not because he's lying. Yeah, it's Bavusta Maisa. There was a Rosh Yeshiva for herring a guy to come to his yeshiva. And he says, prove who was, he asked him, who was Moshe Rabbeinu's brother? He says, oh, that's easy. The Chef Shmaitza, in his fourth discourse, he discusses whether Moshe Rabbeinu is Pasal Eidus to Aaron HaKohen. So it's Muchach that Aaron HaKohen is Moshe Rabbeinu's brother. So, Moshe Aaron, L'choisnam. Can Moshe Rabbeinu testify for Yisrael? No. But is Moshe Rabbeinu Mishum D'Lei Mehemniu? Mishum D'Lei Mehemniu? No, it's because he's not believe. Like Xeris Melechu. It's because the Kadosh Baruch Hu said so. Shlei Yiduleh. Achanam Xeris Melechu. Shlei Yoyed. Al Tzav Yodai. L'chaisnai. So the same thing by us. You cannot testify on your father. Elo. So the Gemara goes back to the original one. That what? It's Ben Shemachar Ben Nichsi Yov. Here's the case. Rabbi Sai. There was. We could go back. Grandfather, son, and grandson. The Yaakov guy, the middle guy, sold. We can take it away from here. Yaakov takes the land from his father before his father dies and sells it. That's the case. And then he dies first, then the grandfather dies. So the son, Reuven, all the way in the bottom, goes ahead and grabs the piece of land. So the So when we learned this, we said, Reuven goes directly to Yitzchak. What's the problem? He says, no, the pasuk is not telling us how to do Yerusha. The pasuk is just saying that you should have sons like the grandfather. You should have good children. Nothing to do with hatzlacha that a grandson takes directly from a grandfather. What?
What was the Havamina?
Yeah, so?
What word from Nachum from Torah?
Yeah, but you see that's how it works. David HaMelech is saying that it works like that's how it works. Maybe. You see many times. You see how do you learn Chalipin? How do you learn I don't know what. This is how they do it. If you tell me that you don't learn that it's not a hatzlacha, it's just a bracha. So now we're getting to our sugya. Really, the Rishonim say that it should have been slightly in the other sugya, not in this sugya. But okay. The house fell down. I got to show you this video again. I mean, come on, everybody that sees it was Mordik. Hold on. Well, no.
Look, Father, I got this from the bank as a gift for taking out mortgage.
Isn't it dangerous?
The guy that does
Not
it,
at all.
he
Look,
does the whole
it
thing.
will only work if you hold it with both hands.
Some brother didn't laugh. Since the other didn't laugh, that means everybody saw it already. Very proud of you. Very proud. Good. We don't know who died first, the father or the son. And there was somebody owed money to. First, the father died. So they get the Yerusha directly from the grandfather. And the one that's owed money, the bank says no. What happened was the father died. So if the father died first, the son became a millionaire for a moment, fleeting moment, until the rest of the ceiling fell on him. And at that moment that he owns $1 million, we, the bank, want to go and collect from the son. My love, Yorshiav B'nei. We're talking about a father, son, and a grandson, like in our case. Marishav Ache. Okay, we're not going to go into that case. The second case, Marishav is talking about brothers. Because if you're telling me that a grandson goes directly to the grandfather, sorry, it doesn't. He cannot go say, I'm going directly to the grandfather. I go through my own father. Before he said this pasuk is not telling me hatzlacha. The pasuk is just talking about a bracha. We're giving a bracha to the grandson should be like his grandfather. Big tzaddik. In other words, a grandson gets Yerusha how? Through his father, who gets it from the grandfather. So that's the Gemara. So then what does it help me? Who died first, who died second? Either way, kimeis haben. You just go back to this if we want to explain it nicely. It doesn't matter. Here we go. Everybody's dead. The father and the grandfather are dead. Kimeis haben. Let's say the son died first. And then the grandfather died. What's the difference? How did you, Reuben, get this $1 million? Because when Yitzchak died, it went to Yaakov, who's already dead. It went to him for a moment, and it continued on to Reuben. At that moment that it went to Yaakov, we want it. The bank wants it. So what's the difference who died first? So you see from here that it doesn't work like that. It actually circumvents. Lie. You didn't understand. We're not talking about Yitzchak, Yaakov, Reuven, and we're talking about whether he has to circumvent Yaakov to get the Yerusha. We're not even talking about a grandchild. We're talking about La Yershiav Echav. We're talking about brothers. So here it goes like this. This guy Yosef is the what we're talking about here. Yosef is a brother. If Reuven dies, it makes an afkamina who dies first, because if Yosef in fact inherits, he's not inheriting through Reuven. It's not a question does he circumvent or not. He's a direct Yerush of Yaakov. Let's see for a second. Reuven dies first, then Yaakov. So then Yosef gets the Yerusha. How? Directly from his father. He doesn't have to go through Reuven. If Reuven dies, and forget Chanoch, there's no Chanoch here, okay? There's a mistake, I think. Forget Chanoch. There's just Yosef and Reuven. If once Reuven dies, and then Yaakov dies, so Yaakov has all the Yerusha. And how does Yosef get it? Directly from Yaakov. He doesn't have to go through Reuven. So the Gemara's question was, who gets it? Esav, Yosef, but it's not a question of circumventing. You don't have to circumvent in this case. Oh, sponsor. Forget Esav. Berkovici family, the zechus klal Yisrael. And Glenn Esterson, dedicated to Gilad Jacob Israel. Thank you for bringing the daf into my life. Baruch Hashem. Baruch my name Rav Sheshes. Ben Mao Shir Shesimai Bekever Lahanchil Laachim Minoav. Question. We had this sugya, a little bit of it. Does a son inherit a mother when he's already dead, to the point that he inherits it and then gives it over to the brothers? To this side of the family. Take it out. Remember, we had a whole thing taking it out. Let's see if we have something similar. Here, something like this. No, this is not a ben. No, it's not so good. The kids are, it's bakever. Fine. Ben Maush Yirash is imoy bakever lahanchil lachminav. Can a son, we might have a real thing here somewhere. It's fine, you got it? Okay, we're moving. I don't know that we have to finish the whole parak today. Let's try to get to, because we did the whole last 15 lines, we did word for word in the beginning of the Masechta, in Cheskas. Bomene Mirav Sheishes. Ben, who's the son is dead, Maush Yirshasimoy Bakever, can he inherit it while he's dead? Lahan Chilachmenav, to take it away from his mother's side of the family and give it to his own brothers from his father's side. Amul Rav Sheishes Nisua. We learned we have a sad situation. A father and son died. We don't know who died first. One was captured and died. One is in bed and he died, but we don't know which one happened first. There's a discussion here between argument between the father's Yarshim and the son's Yarshim, and we do Yachloiku. So ask the Gemara, Hechi Dami. What's the case? Aren't they the same exact people? The Yarshim of the father, Yarshim of the son? If the son doesn't have any Yarshim, so then it's the Yarshim of that. If the son has Yarshim, then it's the son's Yarshim get everything. So where's there enough Kamina? They're the same person that we're talking. It's the same thing. There's no Yachloiku, it's the same person. Oh, so Gemara says a complicated case here. Check this out real quickly. There's a father who has a wife and a brother. So we're actually going to be dealing with Esav, the brother. It's funny, the Rashbam brings Esav here, Yaakov and Esav, the parsha. Yaakov and Leah, Yaakov has a daughter, Dina. Dina married somebody called Reuven, and Reuven also had another wife, Rachel. Yeah, Reuven has two wives. Think about it for a second. The child that Reuven has with Dina is a grandchild of who? Of Yaakov and Leah. The child that Reuven has with Rachel is a grandchild of who? No one. We don't know. Unknown. It's very important to remember that. So Dina and Reuven have a kid called Chanoich. So Chanoich is a grandchild of Yaakov. Rachel's kid, no, Reuven is not related to Yaakov. Reuven is a son-in-law of Yaakov. He married Dina. So when Reuven has another child with Rachel, that child is unrelated to Yaakov. And now we have a question, where does the Yerusha go to? Does it go to Esav or does it go to Yosef? Okay, because Yosef is not related to Yaakov, but he could get it through his brother Chanoch. Let's see how it works. Dina is dead, okay? In all cases, she dies. Now, if Yaakov dies, what happens? Chanoich, on the right, is the grandchild of Yaakov. He gets the Yerusha. It went very fast. Let's see if we can do it slower.
It's out of order.
No. No. Yaakov dies, and therefore Chanoch inherits the land. After Chanoch dies, the land goes over to his brother Yosef. It should have, if he would have done it nicely, it would have gone down to Chanoch, over to Yosef. But if Chanoch dies first, and then Yaakov dies, I did it too fast, then Chanoch doesn't inherit it. Certainly not Yosef. And then the line goes over to Yosef. Says the Gemara, Am shenish b'omeis ben bitoy b'medina, uben bitoy shenish b'omeis b'medina. We don't know who died first. Yorshav ben Yachloiku. This should be Esav and Yosef should make a chalukah. V'misa. Now, if you are right, Ninami the ben meis bereisha, even though Chanoch died first, what's the problem? He should inherit his mother in the grave. And therefore Yosef should still get it in this case. Why? You see that once Chanoch dies, he does not inherit his mother, Dina. And I'll prove it to you. If a house fell on him and his own mother, both agree that you do chalukah. And if you think that a son inherits his mother in the kever, who cares who died first? What's the problem? So let's say the son died first under the house, and then a moment later the mother. Let the son inherit his mother after he's dead. Son does not inherit his mother in the kever. And what is the reason? Here the two psukim. V'loi sisoi, pasuk zayin and tes. That we already established in this Masechta, that a husband ain't a bal yerush ishta bekever. Once a husband dies, he does not inherit his wife after he's dead. So what happens to the Yerusha? It goes to her family. Since we have the same word by a husband and a son, so a son also does not inherit his mother in the grave. Should we stop here? Should we do this sugya? Okay, we'll stop over here. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.